Right. BRICS team, please can we share the agenda in the meantime, because we are 2 minutes over 3 and I think we can get the show on the road.
Is it me or is there sound in the background?
I don't hear any sound from your side. I certainly don't
BRICS
have
team,
background
please
sound.
can we share the agenda in the meantime, because we are 2 minutes over 3.
Are you trying to share the agenda?
I'm just sorting out some technical issues with the sound on my side, but maybe if one of the other colleagues can share in the meantime.
All right. Okay. We are here today, of course, to look at this special issue launch, and we welcome all the participants in the chat. We are always very grateful for you coming to share time with us in our collaborations and knowledge production through our BRICS Research Institute at DUT. And today we are meeting to launch the special issue looking at making BRICS work for its people and for those in the global south. We are going to have 15 minutes speaker presentations. We are starting with the editor's opening, and then we are going to go on to the contributors. I'm going to start with our editor's opening. But before we get there, let me just put a bit in perspective of our special issue. What is the journal about? The Journal of BRICS Studies is envisioned as an open access, peer-reviewed and non-disciplinary academic journal focused on the critical and intersectional studies of subjects related to the BRICS, the Agency of Emerging Powers and South-to-South cooperations. The BRICS studies requires discussion and analysis that go beyond and disrupt the disciplinary lines of knowledge. That is where we are heading. So let me then welcome everyone from good and from near and far to this webinar. I'm going to give each speaker 15 minutes. Please let us observe the time protocol. The first speaker is our editor for the BRICS special issue. The title is Making BRICS Work for Its People and Those in the Global South. We've got Prof. Netswara, who is affectionately known as Prof. Fulu. Prof is the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Management Sciences at DUT and is tasked to develop the DUT Business School. Prof Fulu has various directorships. He has worked as a director at the Northwest University Business School, Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Management Science at CPUT, and he's also a director of South Africa's BRICS think tank. He's also had a directorship at Turf Loop Graduate School of Leadership at the University of Limpopo and the Research Management Directorship at the University of South Africa. Prof's research career spans in being the manager of the research grant at the NRF. He's been a senior researcher at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. He's been a chief researcher at the Human Sciences Research Council, a researcher at the Institute for Democracy in South Africa, and the institutional researcher at the Technikon South Africa. And he's currently a visiting professor at the Lincoln International Business School in the UK. He's had positions outside the academia. Prof was a board member of Pick It Up in the city of Johannesburg. He's been a board member as the HSRC and the vice chairperson at the South African Business School Association. Prof. Fulu, as we affectionately call you, please, may we have your talk for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bjerkes, and thanks for the introduction. I'm delighted to have edited this special issue. Yes, so let me also not only thank yourself for presiding over today's engagements, but also the University of Johannesburg, the Journal of BRICS Studies, and in particular Professor Zondi and his team there for giving us an opportunity to publish this special issue in their journal. We continue to have a very collegial relationship between ourselves and him, between ourselves and that journal. But it is also equally important to note that we have put together a journal in the BRICS Research Institute, and the calls for contributions have been going out continuously. We will continue to publish in either that or this new journal of ours, if and when necessary, because our mission is one and the same: to make the work of academics in the BRICS, broader society, and from the global south prominent. We need to make sure that these works continue to be projected in a positive light, and that they do indeed see the day of life, the light of day rather. Now, this special issue, as some of you might have seen or observed, comprise 12 articles. It is indeed, the Journal of BRICS Studies is indeed an open access journal. You can therefore go online and get access to those articles. Interest yourself, cite them where necessary in your future and further research works, and also engage those who have published in this particular special issue. Those 12 articles are a mix of articles that come from our conference in 2023, in Kota, University of Kota in India, and a few others that were solicited from a few scholars interested in publishing in this particular issue. I think among those articles are topics associated with climate action, climate change, COVID-19, entrepreneurship issues, as well as sustainable development issues, sustainable transportation even, but mainly and generally in the BRICS countries. We have just sampled at least 3 speakers from the 12 for today's presentations. And I must say, we annually host the BRICS conference.
Sorry, Prof.
Yes,
sorry for my interruption. I just want to know, are you sharing your screen?
No, I'm not sharing screens.
Okay.
I'm just talking. Yes, please.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
So annually, as the BRICS Research Institute, and in partnership with our various collaborators, various members of the BRICS Research Institute in the various countries, BRICS countries, we host annually a BRICS conference. We also host the postgraduate forum, and from these conferences we do publish. Hence, some of these papers come from the Kota conference. Now, it is important that we continue to project scholarship from the BRICS and Global South. And why is that the case? Because a case should be made about the importance of BRICS, the importance of BRICS and its role, its place in global affairs. So the work that emanates in the Global South continues to be very important and should be made prominent, not only to scholars from the Global South and in BRICS, but also for everybody globally who know and understand some important developments in the Global South. BRICS is surely and quickly becoming a very important and prominent, should I call it, organization, association, with over 31 trillion US dollar in GDP and growing at a rate of 4%. GDP growth projected for 2025, BRICS is becoming very huge. Its influence and dominance in global affairs, therefore, cannot be ignored. The share of the global GDP by purchasing power parity, according to IMF, currently sitting at 40%, and GDP nominal sitting at around 35% globally, and it's projected to grow at 4% annually. So it is among the fastest growing associations of nations, because currently G7, for argument's sake, is growing at 1.7%. So you can see that in the coming few years, BRICS is likely going to overtake majority of these important groupings. And therefore, the work that we are doing in the economy, in our development, and in various other spheres within the Global South should therefore be given priority in our publications. But importantly, we should continue to encourage our scholars to collaborate, to co-publish, and so on and so forth. That is very, very important as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to stop it here because we are here to listen to some of the scholars who have published, and I hope that they will give us food for thought so that over the weekend we can digest these messages about their scholarship and the work that they've produced in this special issue. Over to you again, Professor Soraya Bukis.
Thank you very much for that introductory words, Prof. Yes, let's then go to our first speaker. We have up Mr. Vikash Shukla, who's a SRF scholar, and he's also at the University of Awadesh, Prata Singh in India. And his contribution he's going to be speaking on is the relevance of BRICS in the period of turbulence. This he has co-authored with Sankata Prashad Shukla and himself, of course, Vikash Shukla. Over to you, Mr. Shukla. Thank you. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can I share my screen?
You can please go ahead and share your screen.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Okay, we see it now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for providing me the platform to express my views. I am completely delighted for this opportunity. We are all here to view and express our views about the BRICS. First of all, we have to know what is the purpose behind the BRICS. BRICS organization has been evaluated for providing the platform for the global south countries who are not given a platform which due regard in other major multilateral platform, for example World Bank, IMF, WHO. As we see in these platforms, the representation of global south countries are historically not represented. So in 2008 and 9 we opened BRICS for providing a platform to give opportunity to the countries of the global south to express their views, their problems. As we know, first of all, we know the BRICS bloc is primarily centered on fostering economic issues. As we know, after 2008-2009 financial crisis, BRICS organization came into existence. But later on, various other political and social cooperation issues also included in it. For example, initiatives like NDB, CRA were designed to offer Western-dominated financial institutions like IMF and World Bank. Still, we know that the two-thirds of the world humanity still lack representation in global institutions like WHO, IMF, even UN, where they are presented as a member, but they have no right to express their views. They have no right to present their any policy, present their any document. So BRICS evolved as a leader of global south to provide platform to the global south countries, as evident from the recent BRICS summit, which is held in Brazil, where we invited various countries from global south, for example Belarus, Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Nigeria, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, Uzbekistan. These countries are those countries who are never represented on world platform, whose views, whose ideas, whose ideologies are never expressed on the world platform. So, first of all, BRICS gave them the platform to express their grievances, to express their issues, to express their problems. Later on, we see BRICS is used for reforming the global financial structure, reform in international economic and financial situation, reform of the betterment twist, which I already expressed as World Bank and IMF, hegemonic control of multi-institutions like that were responsible for greater divide between North and South, multilateral institutions as you already said.
Vikash,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry to
Yes,
interrupt, Vikash. Vikash,
yes, I
can
am
you
going too
please,
fast, ma'am.
Vikash,
Yes,
can you
yes, yes,
please share
yes,
your
ma'am.
full screen with us on presentation mode because we cannot see so well. Can you do it in presentation mode, please?
It is showing.
That's much
It is
better.
showing.
Thank you very much. Now it's
Okay,
showing.
okay,
Yes.
okay, okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. So, as you already know, the broadening perspective of BRICS is on food security, elimination of poverty in the global south countries, energy security, climate change, and development aid. Later on, it also seeks to deepen, broaden, and intensify cooperation among the individual countries for more sustainable, equitable development. Mainly, BRICS operate on two major pillars. What are the major pillars? Issues of mutual interest through meetings of leaders as well as Ministry of Finance, Trade, Health, Science and Technology, Education, Agriculture, Communication, etc. And consultation on practical cooperation in number of areas through meeting of working groups and senior officials. As we already see, in the latest BRICS summit, in pursuance of the objective of BRICS, in its which is held on Brazil on session on peace, security, and reform of global governments, Indian Prime Minister PM Modi called for a greater role for developing world in international decision making. And as I already mentioned that walking the talk strategy, BRICS groups invited representatives from various global south countries to express their views who are not represented on major international platform. Then a new term arises, what is global south? Global South are those countries which are historically exploited countries for raw materials, for resources, for labor, and they were not given platform to express their point of view, their point of issues. For example, recently, as we already see, a map issue evolved by the African Union, where the major big countries who are actually dominant, who are in geographical area, are shown on global map as smaller, and countries who are one third to one fourth smaller than African continent, than Indian continent like Greenland, North America, are shown on the map as bigger. This is not only a physical representation, it represents an ideology which are historically backward, that shows that these countries are dominant in every field, and which already diminish the strategic value of Africa, North America, the strategic value of Africa and Indian continent. And to change this thing, African Union and World Bank already mentioned to change the map of these countries. So it is just an example of the mentality of the global north. Those countries are already shown the countries of global south as in diminished form. As we already seen, there in international politics there is a term called necropolitics. What is necropolitics? Necropolitics is the use of political power to determine who is allowed to live and who can be made to die. It describes how states and institutions manage death by exposing certain populations such as refugees, poor or racialized communities to violence, abandonment or structural neglect. This thing is completely witnessed in Israel-Gaza war, where a 60,000 population are killed, and day by day about 1,000 pupils are killed for basic amenities like food, water, medicine, and the whole northern world kept silent on this issue. Neither UNSC is doing anything, neither UN is doing anything, neither World International Platform are doing anything on this. Countries like South Africa and Brazil raised this issue on world platform, and these countries are punished by the global north country for raising these issues. And on the same platform, they are expressing the violence happen in Ukraine, in the sense that life of citizen in Ukraine is more valuable than the life of citizen in Gaza, as witnessed by the strategic and aspects of the global north. This is the picture of humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which I am showing to you. These children are aware of, they are not providing basic necessity, they are not providing drinking water, they are not providing medicine, they are not providing food for months. And when any reporter go to express their grievances, they are killed by the communities which you already know that who is responsible behind all these things. Lekin world politics is completely silent on this issue, and BRICS is a platform which was raised to raise these issues. So, BRICS role of BRICS in pursuit of this objective, BRICS in its declaration in recent Rio summit held in Brazil unequivocally condemned this in strong language, the atrocities happening in Gaza, and also the condemned the atrocious attack done by terrorists in Pahalgam of Kashmir, India. For example, by COVID crisis, it was quite clear to the whole world that until and unless everyone is safe, no one is safe. Till the whole world take the respect of human life as a single person, whether it is in Gaza, whether it is in Ukraine, the life of the person is same, and till till that end, there is no solution to the world problem. There is no solution to the humanity. There is no solution to the natural rights. There is no solution to human rights. As stressed by political scholars like Hannah Arendt in his famous essay "Banality of Evil." In this essay, Hannah Arendt wants to show that when evil is normalized by the civilized community, ignored by the civilized community, communities who have the power to express the issues of these backward people, these affected peoples, they are mum, they are silent on these issues, then evil became normal. It is happened in every nook and corner of the world. So, as a civilized and democratic people of our world, BRICS and the countries in the remaining world have the responsibility to express and raise the issue of these inhuman atrocities happening in that part of the world to the whole world, and try to pressurize the institutions they are doing injustice to these people to stop this. As I already mentioned in this, the responsibility of BRICS as a platform representing about half of the world population is more in standing against the humanitarian catastrophic event happening in different parts of the world. Then there is BRICS on energy security, as I already mentioned in my paper, how BRICS has become a global platform for promotion of energy-based sustainable development, sharing of advanced energy technology, expansion of cooperation on educational program, exchange of statistical data and plans on the development of natural energy systems, and information of best practices and regulatory framework in the energy sector. Then what the future perspective of BRICS? Future perspective is reform of units and its organ, as I already mentioned, that a major catastrophe is happening in one part of the world, and the whole world institutions are completely silent on this. They are on the same field. They are raising the Ukraine crisis. They are raising the Ukraine issue, but they are not raising with same vigor the issues happening in Gaza. Even the countries like South Africa and Brazil, when they are raising these issues, so these countries by various measures, for example, tariff, for example, by economic sanctioning, for example, by political sanctioning, the leaders of these countries, punishing these countries for raising the issues of Gaza war. फिर democratic financing of monetary institutions like IMF, WTO, WHO, etc. Achievement of Paris Climate Treaty, as already you know that USA and various global North countries are now not accepting their responsibility to fund the climate change fund, allocation of fund as guaranteed by developed countries to the developing countries, ensuring that development in one part of the world would not become the source of suffering in other part of the world. As I already said, until and unless the humanity, the human rights, the person, the citizen in the whole world is safe, no country will be safe. And it is the responsibility of the BRICS, it is the responsibility of the democratic community of the world, it is the responsibility of we citizens to raise the issues of those inflicted communities who are avoided of basic amenities like water, food, medicine, and stop these atrocities happening on them. By this, I want to close my presentation. Thank you for providing me the platform. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for keeping good time there. And yes, thank you for giving us those insights on the fact that we must walk the talk, the fact that we are looking at Asia, Latin America, Africa as the global south. We must not get that out of our perspective. That is the reason for our being, the BRICS bloc. And of course, to point out the necropolitics of the world that is besieging us in the Israel-Gaza strip, and also that we have normalized evil. We have to You are giving us food for thought and just reinvigorating that thought again, that we cannot let this evil, which is not just war, but it's also the energy crisis and then, of course, the climate change. And all of this can come together in a better way if we can get a more proactive United Nations. And of course,
Yes, ma'am.
BRICS is trying to make those trajectory changes through our presentations and our research. All right, thank you. We are not asking questions now. We will reserve our questions until all the speakers have spoken. The participants are encouraged to put their questions in the chat, or, of course, write it down for later on. Let me then go to our next speaker. All right. The next speaker, the contribution is the challenges in teaching and learning during COVID-19 pandemic on sustainable development goals in South Africa, a systemic review. And we have the co-authors as follow. They are Dr. Kayode, and then we have Adenarin, and also we've got Profulu that has also contributed. Today, the contribution is made by Dr. Kayode, who is an educationist and researcher. She has obtained her master's degree in both educational management and information technology at the University of Nigeria, Ekiti State University, and Texila American University in Guyana, respectively. She holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science and Education Information Technology from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. She is currently in the third year of her postdoctoral fellowship in South Africa. She also holds a degree in educational management in Nigeria, and she has certificates, national and international, in ICT and data science. She's also a lecturer at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria since 2002. She's widely published. She has published over 25 articles, chapters in books and conference proceedings books in reputable journals, both nationally and internationally. She's also a reviewer in a regular reviewing contribution to international journals, conferences, proposals, reviews, and she has faculty co-chair colloquiums. She also does community outreach. She conducted free training for undergraduate students in the area of blended and digital tools in education, and she also serves as a voluntary part-time lecturer at the Ekiti State University at the Sandwich Center in Nigeria. The time is yours. You can take it away. Thank you very much. 15 minutes. Your 15 minutes starts now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. Can you see my slide?
We can. Can you please put it in presentation
please.
mode for us, please?
That is what I'm trying to do, but it's blocking here. Okay, sorry, let me start over. It's blocking. I don't know whether somebody could assist me there. It's blocking my view.
Bobby, can we?
Okay, can you see it now? Can you see it now?
Not yet. We're waiting.
Yeah, I've shared it. It's
there we go.
Are you able to move to the next slide when you are in this mode?
Yes. I'm moving to the slide 2, slide 3, and it's slide 1 now. Can you see
I see
clearly?
slide 1. Okay, there we go. There we have it in a presentation mode. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, it's okay. Can you see now? Good afternoon.
Let's give it a moment. There we go. All good.
Yeah. Good afternoon, my colleagues, the scholars. I'm here to present the challenges in teaching and learning during COVID-19 pandemic on sustainability development, especially in South Africa. And this title will be published in the Journal of BRIC Studies with Neswara and Abraham. Okay, the introduction is the background. We understand that the COVID-19 declared a global pandemic in March 2020, over 600 million cases and 6 million deaths worldwide. Schools were being closed suddenly and disrupt the face-to-face classroom in South Africa. And the BRIC, this study aligned with the BRIC and the LDS 4 goal, which is sustainability in education. So the aim of the study is to examine the challenges that facing teaching and learning during and after the COVID-19 in South Africa, particularly in achieving sustainability in education. While the study focused on South Africa and the issue are not unique in this one country, the manion and the experience of many BRICS and global South North were education system. The COVID-19 really dealt with our educational system. So the study, the methodology used for the study was on the systematic literature review, which were conducted in 9 databases, including JS Stores, Scopus, Springer Link, from year 2020 to year 2022, peer-reviewed studies, and only 24 articles were being analyzed and be valuable for this study. The peer review was published from 2020 in an English focus in South Africa education. So only 24 final paper met the criteria. This rigorous process ensured that the inclusion were evident that based, that representative, and that relevant not only for South Africa but also for the BRICS and the global South content. So the findings, the study got 3 findings, and the major findings, which are teaching challenges. We can see there are a lot of difficulties. For example, imagine a lecturer who has spent decades in teaching face-to-face. Over the night, he moved everything online. So most of the lecturers find it difficult to learn some new technological tools to move them to another online. But South Africa education were very, very sensitive, and they brought together their staff even to teach them experts in how to use the technological tool in order to assist the students who are being captured at home without doing anything. So with these challenges of teaching in online, the lecturers, the teachers were able to catch up with the capacity training. So the challenges too is that students themselves learning difficulties. They found it, you can see, especially in the rural area, where there's no laptop, no electricity stable, and no internet connection. Some of them were using radio to listen to their teacher, especially those in the lower school. And the literatures show that most of the students came from low income and rural households were extremely affected in South Africa. Economic hardship and food insecurity worsened the learning gap for those people in rural areas. Especially, even there was also a challenge for the students in using the digital device. These are threatening in order to promote the sustainability, especially those in a rural and low income. Many of them lack devices, internet, electricity, power. Food insecurity worsened the situation in South Africa during the COVID-19. Lastly, finding is that institutional response. Immediately, the institutional administration of the universities in South Africa started all this in April 2020. They started training their staff. Despite the challenges, universities show remarkable resilience. They adopted platforms such like Zoom, Team, Blackboard, Google Classroom, Google Meet, as many that can assist our students. Inadequate translation, bandwidth devices, so they use WhatsApp, they use Telegram to record their voice. In fact, the institutional make it easier for the students in South Africa during the COVID-19, and this powerful lesson for BRIC nation, they combine the investment of infrastructure, training, capacity support for the lecturer. They move most of the lecture teaching to Zoom, Team, WhatsApp, the little technological tool that can assist, especially those that came from the poor family. They recorded their voice and play in the radio and sustain even the education during the COVID-19 pandemic. So post-COVID, after the lockdown and the devices that have affected the school in South Africa, opportunity also came in, and BRICS learned a lot of lessons. One of the lessons is that for BRIC and global nation, the lesson there is very clear. Invest in digital infrastructure. BRIC should invest in the capacity building of the teachers, lecturers, and both students. Prioritize inclusion, marginal group, learner with disability especially should be considered. So BRIC lesson now is that they should leverage in a cooperation to share technology resources and best practice. By working together, BRIC can turn the painful lesson of COVID-19 into opportunity for more resilient, inclusive, and sustainability education system in all the BRIC universities. The conclusion of the study and the call to the action is, as I concluded, I would like us to imagine the future of education in the global south. The pandemic was a stress test. It showed us how fragile our system can be, but also how adaptable they are. The study found out that COVID-19 accelerated digital transformation into education. So majority of the courses now are being integrated with the integration of technology. So blended learning now introduced into many universities. The conclusion of the study is that also as the gap in preparedness infrastructure to support students and educators. So most universities in the BRICS now supposed to prepare ahead of time in case of any such difficulties. So moving forward now is that future research should explore one, long-term impact of blended learning in BRIC lectures. We should not focus on only face-to-face. We should not demand that all the students must be in the classroom. We should have a way of blended so that the student, right from the younger one, should know how to use technological tools to support their teaching and learning. Strategic for sustainability digital infrastructure in low resources setting. And policy now should ensure no learner should left behind, no matter the background of the students. The key message I want all of us to have with us now, BRICS has a unique opportunity by example, making education not only about growth, but also about resilience, sustainability, and inclusivity for all students. All references will be started in the full papers. Speaker details will be sought for collaboration. Thank you. South Africa, we say Siyabonga for your attention.
Thank you very much for that riveting presentation and all in such succinctly good time. Thank you very much, Dr. Kayode, for, yes, once again, focus for us on the post-COVID. Yes, COVID brought the hybrid, the online, all of those new digitalization of teaching, but we are also frightfully aware of the digital divide that tests our society in the 5IR. And so, yes, BRICS, the BRICS bloc has enough power to let us eradicate that digital divide. And as you have urged, Dr. Kayode, we need to pool our resources so that we leave no one behind, and we make sure that we continue with blended learning so that we can bring the classroom to the far-flung areas that, yes, are struggling with data. And where data is concerned, we need to urge and to collaborate with those data service providers so that they can give us free online access, particularly to our rural students. Thank you very much for that presentation. Then we are going to move to the next presentation. Dr. Coyote, you are still sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got, yes, already on picture, we've got our Professor Fontaine that is going to give us the next presentation. Let me quickly familiarize yourself with Professor Fontaine, who is going to do the comparative analysis of the government and government structures and policies to disaster response adopted by the BRICS perspectives from the COVID-19 pandemic. And I must say that Professor Fontaines squarely sits in that realm of disaster management. He is an adjunct professor in the area of management and innovation at the production engineering program of COPE at the University Federal Rio de Janeiro. He teaches research and engages in outreach activities that focuses on humanitarian aid and disaster management. Working with multiple scientific and practical approaches, he is a grantee of the Young Scientists of Our States program, and he holds productivity fellowships in technical development and innovation extension, and his various collaboration through research in disaster management has brought him to projects that have resulted in articles that is published in leading national and international forums in production engineering and disaster studies. He's carried out collaboration with institutions such as the Rio Operations Center, the Civil Defense of the State of Rio de Janeiro, the National Center for Monitoring and Early Warning of Natural Disasters, the National Center for Risk and Disaster Management, the Ministry of Defense, the United Nations Development Program, and the World Bank. So yes, we sit with a lot of knowledge around disaster management. Please enlighten us in the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soraya, for the introduction. And I also thank you for the previous presenters, the colleagues. I'm going to share my screen with a short presentation based on the paper already published. Just a second so I can share my full screen. I hope you might see
almost there.
Yeah, just a second. I'm going to move to the presentation and now to the full screen mode.
There we go. Good to go.
Perfect. So thank you again, Soraya, for the introduction. As you have already indicated, the presentation is based on the paper that we published in the BRICS studies. So the title is Comparative Analysis of the Government Structures and Policies to Disaster Response Adopted by the BRICS. And we are going to focus on the perspective of the COVID-19 pandemic, what was done before the pandemic, and what the BRICS countries created to respond to this specific disaster. This work was developed by two PhD research that I supervised, and I'm also the coordinator of my specific research lab on studies and practices of engineering for disasters. So I supervised several researches in master and PhD level on the disaster and humanitarian operations topic, as you have already said. So just for give you a context on my background and what I'm going to present today. So I have this specific and very short agenda. So I'm going to talk briefly about the introduction of this paper, the methodology, an overview analysis. I'm not going to bring strong details and very specific details that you might find in the paper. and I'm going to brief some conclusions and suggestions for future research. So in terms of introduction, we live in this world and we see that we are facing several disasters, even more stronger than before, with a severe number of people affected, of people economically affected or affected in terms of health and also in terms of life. We have a very high number of people that uh, are dead based on natural disasters or industrial disasters. And in this specific context of disasters, we focused on the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have evidence that we present in the paper with several perspectives that the BRICS countries were among the most affected by the pandemic itself. We have here some numbers of the pandemic. We had more than 100 million people affected and more than 1.7 million people dead by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we all faced several of the policies adopted by the BRICS countries that included restrictive transportation and movement measures, border control, and other populational control measures like the vaccine. And we investigated those different policies and government structures. So our idea was to compare the BRICS engagement to the COVID-19 pandemic response. So this is the specific research question that we consider for this research. So what are the government structures and policies adopted by the BRICS countries to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic? So in terms of methodology, we adopted the case study. It's a very standard methodology for the production engineering, industrial engineering, or management. And we consider these 6 specific steps. So for the first one, the planning, as I have already said at least 3 times here, I'm going to repeating just once more. We are going to investigate the measures implemented by the BRICS countries to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of project, we are going to compare the government structures and policies of BRICS for the disaster response before and after the COVID-19. In terms of preparation, we decide to consider official documents and public information as sources of evidence. Unfortunately, we weren't able to access professionals from the governments from the different BRICS countries. So as a first attempt, we decide to focus on those official documents and other public information sources. We performed the data collections at the second semester of 2022, and we adopted the explanation construction and the time series analysis for the data analysis, which means that we try to explain how the different countries created their own structure to respond to disasters before the COVID-19 pandemic, so we could understand how the different policies were created regardless the pandemic, and then we analyzed what each country performed in terms of policies and any kind of any other governmental structure to the specific COVID-19 pandemic. So we constructed those analysis based on a time series analysis, showing how things evolved along the years. And for reporting, we first presented the results at the second BRICS Research Conference at the beginning of 2023. For now, for this specific presentation, I'm just going to show the overview analysis, but in the paper you have the specific information from each country, specifically from before the pandemic and after the pandemic. So I invite everyone to read the paper, as Professor Profulo has already mentioned it. The paper is free access, so I'm here just to focus on the overview analysis. So no BRICS country consider any specific emergency policy as a reference for the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is one of the main points, but it's not only something that we perceived for the BRICS countries. Most of the countries don't have any kind of response to disasters. So the countries are developing their own strategies to act in disaster response. The second point here is that the fact that all BRICS countries assumed a centralized coordinations within their territories. So the national governments decided what the different other levels of management within their countries, what they should do. However, we identified some misalignments observed in the Brazilian and Russian strategies, where we have national policies and some strategies that were not corresponded to the local level strategy. So we observed some misalignments in those two countries. We observed that few of the robust structures and policies developed previously to the COVID-19 pandemic were considered in the specific response to the pandemic. So it's something very important to mention here is the fact that we didn't see any kind of contribution from the knowledge and from the practice of professionals, from the government structure, from the policies that the countries already structured for disaster response. The countries didn't perceive the pandemic as a disaster, so they tried to develop new ideas, new practice, new structures, ignoring the knowledge and the practice that the country have already created for disaster response. The fourth point here is that all countries globally face the interruption in global trade, and all of the countries presented a drop in the gross domestic product, reinforcing some of the economic dependence of the BRICS countries from other world regions. And one of the first response actions was the provision of funds and other financial resources to the population. And moving for the conclusion and future research, which is also aligned with the points that Vikash and Dr. Coyote already mentioned here today, we observed that all BRICS suffered from an immediate impact on their gross domestic product. We observed lack of capacity to manage the disaster response from a global perspective. We observed lack of alignment between the governments, the BRICS governments, due to their structural independence, but as a group, it's something that we acknowledge that could be more aligned and more discussed within the countries. We observed the creation of several new policies and programs specifically for the pandemic period. Only some previous government structures and policies were considered to the pandemic scenario, just a very few. We observed the need to develop more robust actions focused on the development on horizontal coordination strategies and local development. So, as I said, aligned with the presentation from Vikash, from Dr. Coyote, and the need to create specific government policies for global level response to disasters and best political alignment between the BRICS countries in terms of disasters. That's my very specific research topic. So for future research, we suggest the discussion of the government structures and policies for other specific disasters such as floods, drought, refugee crisis, and also the development of a possible new horizontal coordination action by the BRICS countries in terms of disasters and humanitarian operations. And I thank you all for the attention, and I also acknowledge the support, the financial support from the Rio de Janeiro Foundation and from CAPES, that's the National Research Foundation here in Brazil.
Thank you very much, the CCO, for that interesting presentation. Yes, disaster management, it's here to stay if we are not going to combat the climate change. And like you say, like you point out that in the BRICS bloc, we cannot just work in our silos. We are going to have to proliferate our powers amongst the people of our bloc so that we can combat disaster management and have early warning systems in place so that we can be more proactive instead of being reactive. COVID did teach us a lot of reactionary processes that we put in place, but it wasn't that we weren't without a pandemic before. So COVID was just a wake-up call of how we have become lackadaisical in our approach to disaster management. But we also know that climate change is on us like a pack of wolves, and like the speakers that have spoken before have spoken about the Paris Agreement that needs to now really materialize. There's a lot of talk going on, but we need to walk the talk, as the previous speaker said. So thank you for your presentation. We are going to now let the floor be open for questions. If I can just sum up the book, the journal that we have published through the editorialship of Prof. Fulu. This edition deals with COVID. It deals with the environment, with energy, with entrepreneurship, in air transportation. It deals with social media marketing. So you can see we are really trying to cement our knowledge in the global south. As you know, a lot of our knowledge has gone over to the north because of our mobility programs. We have done so many research mobilities in the north. We now need to contain it in the south so that we have our own knowledge economy, because this is the new GDP currency, and the BRICS institution at DUT does it oh so nice in getting us together in a room like this where we can do in true SDG 17 style collaborate and proliferate our knowledge. Can we now have the mics on for those that would like to ask questions? I don't see any questions in the chat. Let me just see. I just see people are commenting on how wonderful the presentation was. Jean says it's excellent presentation, well done. We learned a lot from the insightful and unique contributions to this special issue. Kudos. And she also says this work is very actual and complement our upcoming book titled Strengthening BRICS in the Area of Internal Security, Public Health, Disaster Management, and the Role of Media. This book is co-edited by Minam Pati, Mangani, Malik, and Kiyala. And she says, well done, bravo. And then we also have Nazreen that gave a comment that she has to have enjoyed the presentation. Colleagues, we keep moving. Specifically, the Gaza imploded BRICS situation has brought so much silence in the BRICS nations, especially since SA brought its application to the ICJ. Is this considered as a divergence by the BRICS, or should the BRICS have spoken with a singular voice? That's her question. Where is the ICJ? And yes, that wasn't the presentation today, but we touched on, like Shukla said, that we're looking at necropolitics, and that is really testing our nations. Um, Nazreen said she had to step away to another conference. Faith Rudaria says that this was very informative, thank you. And Kanyesile Banze says that this was very insightful. Shamaine says that, hi, what research methodology did the first presenter, Vikash, use in this study? Vikash, we have a question that is posed directly at you. What was your research methodology, please? Can you explain? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the methodology used by me is comparative analysis of the events happening in the world platform and the actions by the various world communities, world platforms on these issues. I use the comparative analysis method to analyze the event and suggest my opinion on these events, that what can be done to correct these issues and what would be the right step, what would be the right direction, what would be the right opportunity for BRICS in future to represent the global south and the neglected communities of the countries who are not provided the platform to express their grievances on the global platform.
Thank you very much. I hope that that has satisfied your question, Charmaine. And then is somebody going to give us a thought on the silence of the ICJ? Consider application, and since we have spoken about this evil spirit of necropolitics, who's going to give us some input on that? Tharcisio, please let us hear about that, since you are in the disaster management space, and you know we cannot turn a blind eye to the disaster that is not managed in the Gaza.
Yeah, I was ready to, to step into this question because as we observed in the research focused on the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a very few initiatives from the different BRICS countries to align the presentation to the world in terms of position on how to respond or how to act together. The collaborations between the countries, we have the bloc, the BRICS countries, for several years now. But I think that we are only seeing a new change, a new movement for alignment between the BRICS countries only from the few last years, considering the increase of the countries entering the BRICS bloc that we saw in the last few years, and now based on the U.S. actions in terms of taxes to BRICS countries, not only the BRICS countries, but with specific focus on some of the BRICS countries. So we are now seeing more alignment between the BRICS countries, but from an economic perspective. In terms of disaster, in the pandemic, we didn't see, and now considering other disasters, because this specific crisis we could consider as a humanitarian crisis. So it is a disaster, and considering a disaster that is affecting the BRICS countries also globally, it's not a disaster that is isolated in one specific region. It's a disaster affecting the whole world. So the BRICS countries could do much more in terms of international collaboration to support the situation there, to the crisis, the war there, and we are not seeing something very specific in terms of disaster. So it's the perception that we are. I think it's a very shared perspective from all of us. So that's the point, that comparing to what we saw in this specific research that we presented today, we are seeing the same thing happening to this specific other disaster. So one another point that I would like to mention is that considering disaster management itself, most of the countries' governments, they act in a reactive approach. So considering that this specific disaster is not inside of any countries of the BRICS blocks, I think that is something that are not already perceived as something that they should act. So regardless, a specific disaster happened in India, China, Russia, and kind of the BRICS countries inside the country. I don't think that the BRICS bloc will go to do something for another region, at least right now. So I think it will depend on a future disaster, because as we see, we saw and we see every day, the climate change is increasing. We're going to see more disasters happening in the next few years with very intensive impact. So I think that's something that is going to happen in the future, but I don't think it's going to happen right now. So it's just a general thought.
Oh, Tsasiko, you are painting a bleak picture. We are saying that we need to be more proactive right now. And it is my feeling too that we are too much of a spectator at the moment, and we are leaving a lot to the Western powers. That is not exactly leading by example. So I do think that we could be more proactive. We have Dr. Kayobi, given a big setback on COVID-19 caused in education and the SDGs. What practical steps can BRICS countries take to make learning systems more resilient in the face of a future block? Dr. Coyote, that is your question. Let me read it again. Given the big setback of COVID caused in the education system and the SDGs, what practical steps can BRICS countries take to make learning systems more resilient in the future? Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I said it in my slide that the way forward for BRIC is to sustainability of the infrastructure in ICT, in tools that the students and the lecturers, teachers will be able to use continually. Like DUT, for example, in my university, the trainers often and often on the capacity training of how to teach in blended learning. Even it's not necessary now in DUT that you should see your students, especially postgraduate students in our faculty face to face. You should be able to use tools that will assist those students to finish their research work. So I think BRICS should cultivate that idea of blended learning in technological tools. Not compulsory that students should be attending to often on face to face, especially postgraduate students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We then also have a comment from Philip Davis that says, hi, I hope we can conduct research into the unforeseeable future so as to enable us prepare well in order to reduce the impact that may come. I believe we should be more proactive. Yes, this is what we are all saying. We feel that as a world we are too reactionary, that we are not proactive, and there's not enough early warning signs that can, like you say, Mr. David, that we can foresee, because we have become a very clever population. We can foresee the future. We have all kinds of weather predictions. But we also know that funding has very much been stunted in those kind of not so sexy entities where we are wanting to do research. And climate change is one of them. Um, it is even the disaster management in the Gaza, the disaster management in the Ukraine, all of those, we have not got our eyes peeled on it. Not as a bloc that is wanting to rival the UN, because that is what BRICS is looked to do. Because without thrust, we're going to have to push the UN in a corner to make good on all the various promises since the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1947. And we still, this is where we are. We are very good for time. I don't see any more questions in the chat. I was wondering if Prof. Fulu would perhaps want to come in and give us his last remarks on our special publication. Prof. Fulu, are you still in the chat?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Prof. Dukes. Let me just say a few things. Firstly, thank you to the colleagues who have made their presentations. It's highly appreciated. And I think you gave a perspective of what the special issue is all about. I'm sure those in attendance will agree that it is a special issue they may want to grab to get an idea of what it is that you have written. But besides that, I think the question that was asked about Palestine is a question that I fully would love to entertain, although we don't have time. That indeed, although BRICS has mainly and generally been an economic cooperation and shied away from making political utterances, I think we really need to revisit that position, because we cannot remain non-aligned. We can't remain silent when some of these big international atrocities are perpetuated. Tomorrow they will befall South Africa or another country, and what are we going to do? What are we going to say? I think it's very important that we take positions as far as that is concerned. And we can always rely on the UN Charter, because the UN Charter does have important principles for safeguarding sovereignty and human rights and equality globally. And just utilizing the UN Charter, I think BRICS can voice its grievances against any other nation state that violates international law. And I think we ought to have made our position felt individually, but equally jointly, including at the United Nations General Assembly. So thank you very much, colleagues, and I hope that we will once again and very soon be able to showcase another publication. We need to keep busy. We need to make sure that academics from the Global South are highly engaged. Thank you, Prof, for facilitation.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the participants and for your time from all over the world and in different sleeping zones, of course. And of course, our speakers for putting it all together. And let me end with the last words from Ayefani that says, I think BRICS has a real opportunity to be a strong voice for the South. The key, though, is making sure that voice translates into real action and tackles inequality, not just statements of solidarity. And that echoes basically the words of Prof. Fulu saying, we need to make our voices heard as this bloc. We are metal to deal with, right? Let us show them that we are here and we are serious to make those changes. We have come too far and it's too long for us to just talk and not walk the walk, as Vikash said. Thank you, everyone. If I've got 10 more minutes, so I can give each of you just closing to say goodbye, starting with Dr. Coyote. 1 minute.
Goodbye. Thank you so much, my colleagues. I wish we collaborate more and have a better collaboration paper to put into the next issue of BRICS. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Vikash?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for providing the platform to express my views. I am delighted to present my presentation here and express to be communicated with all of you in future. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vikash. And Tasikio?
Thank you again, all of you. It was amazing to be here with you, sharing those specific insights. But I know that the BRICS Journal have several other brilliant and interesting papers, and I do share the final points that Soraya and also Professor Perfulo presented, and also the other colleagues. So I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm also open I'm also open to new contributions, new collaborations, and to putting our research in practice. So what we can do in the practice based on what we saw in our papers, in our research. So thank you very much. Thank you again, Soraya.
Thank you very much. I see Zamaswazi's hand is up. I don't know if she wants to tell us that they're going to take a picture. Zamaswazi, please go ahead.
That's it. Can you please have a picture? Thank you, Prof. Can you just turn our cameras on just a minute and then the colleagues will take pictures?
So are all the cameras on though?
Yes, yes, I've allowed them.
Please, colleagues, please put the camera on and let us take a gallery picture. Thank you.
Colleagues, please take pictures for everybody.
Tell us when it's done.
Okay, those who can screenshot, please screenshot for me.
Zama, your camera is off.
Yes, because I'm behind. It don't look appropriate.
All right, that's fine. Charity begins at home.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues. We're nearly there. Is there anyone taking a screenshot?
Thank you.
So I just took a screenshot.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. I think
Done.
we do have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Prof.
Bye-bye.
Soraya. Thank you, Prof. Soraya, for facilitating. It was amazing. Wonderful. Well done. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
So, bye, colleagues. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.